Hello and welcome to Sunday Live with Silvia. I'm Silvia Hartmann and I am here in beautiful Eastbourne by the Sea in the United Kingdom. And on a Sunday morning at 10 o'clock my time, I turn on the live stream and start chatting about some fun topics that are current or happening or going on in the wonderful bubble that is the world of modern energy. And this is a bubble that I hope will expand from the tiny little bubble that it is and become a bigger bubble, because it's actually a good bubble to be in. If you're going to be in a bubble, the modern energy bubble is a really cool bubble to be in. if for no other reason is that we actually have this thing that your happiness is important, and it's our happiness is important. Everybody's happiness is important. Good morning, dear Bear. Lovely to have you here with me this morning. We should do a double act at one point. There's, I'm sure, lots of things that we could talk about. And dear Ilka, good morning. Ilka says, I'm going to pass this on. I wish you a wonderful Sunday. Thank you very much, Ilka. And we wish a wonderful Sunday to anybody listening, wherever they are in time and space. Always welcome here, always welcome to join us and flow along with the experience that is Sunday Live with Silvia. Oh man, yes. What a week it's been, hey? Before we go any further, I'm going to give a big shout out to our dear Sandra Hilawi. And if you don't know who that is, you might want to look it up. The most experienced energy trainer in the world, who has just conducted a pure 2020 trainers training in Turkey, in the Turkish language for Turkish people who wanted to become GOE trainers. And this was held at a beautiful hotel in the off-season in a holiday resort by the sea in Turkey. And there were live participants and there were virtual participants as well. So that was quite funny. They actually went to the beach and took their mobile phones so that the people who were on their virtual cameras could see what was going on and take part in the experience. And apparently it was wonderful. So a big shout out to everybody who had a go at that. That's a training that will never come again. It'll never be like that again. And it was unique and special. And I'm really excited about our fresh, young, bright trainers in Turkey. Good morning, Roberta Ann, dear Lucas, Wendy, and Helen, and Marianne, dear Marianne from Germany is here too. Wonderful. Good morning, my dear friends. It wouldn't be the same without you, that's for sure. It would not be the same without you. What shall we do this morning? How shall we make ourselves happy, seeing that our happiness matters? Well, one thing which already has sort of a nice little potential for happiness is that we are here together and at the same time. And so that's kind of nice, isn't it? Meeting friends and talking about things or thinking about things that we find interesting, that we find motivational, inspiring. And I do like this. I look forward to my Sunday live streams. I do. I enjoy it. So some of you might have noticed that I'm sitting in front of a giant snail. Well, it's an ammonite, sort of an ammonite. And the reason for that was that when I came into the studio this morning, it was still behind me from an interview I did with a German hypnotist. And I went snail themed there for that interview. And Oh, thank you, Ilka. I'm going to put that up. There we go. I absolutely love your art, live your artwork. Oh, that's even better than loving it. I'm looking forward to Sunday Lives too. Oh, that's wonderful. And I'm thrilled that this is the case. I realize I never speak to the masses really, but you know, what can you do? What can you do? Now, when you start talking about hypnosis and metaphor and all those things, those lovely, lovely, delicious things, yeah, well, another word for that is magic as well. That you know, sort of daily self-help against anxiety and raising your energy levels and doing your energy drills and whatever else people are doing to keep their, you know, energy system strong and their heart motivated and inspired. It's all very well. That's all good and very necessary. And we had a discussion on the GOE members list, or we're having it at the moment. You know, what the hell we can do to reach more people. It is one of those endless conundrums. When you talk to one person at a time, they're always like completely fascinated, and it makes sense what we do, and they want to learn more and they're excited about it. But when it comes to reaching a wider audience, this just doesn't happen because people are not asking the questions that would bring them to us. This is the old problem from back in the day when we still cared about keywords and search engines, which we now don't. So, yeah, okay. Good morning, Wendy. Wendy Stoughton, good morning to you, my dear. Loving the swirls. Yes. In the energy symbols, the spiral is the sign for magic. And I had a really significant star event with that. When I very first started thinking about how can we make a set of symbols that's nice and simple, not confusing like tarot cards with all those different bits and bobs stuck together. Something simple, something that the conscious mind can understand and the energy mind can understand as well. And so I was thinking about a sign for magic. How could I let the energy mind understand that what I want to do is magic? And it responded by sending me this full-on sensation, a lucid experience of a galaxy rotating slowly in space. And it was just so beautiful. I mean, just remembering that, I'm getting the shivers again. It was so star sparkly. It was so beautiful. And yeah, there's that spiral shape there. But the big breakthrough, I mean, the big star event, why that was a star event for me, because what the energy mind was saying, that magic is a part of the material universe, that it's not separate from that in essence, the universe is magic. And we people just behave as though it wasn't. That was a superstar event of mine. And the very first energy symbol that I, you know, agreed upon with my dear energy mind, and that was the spiral, the sign for magic, that it isn't something that's outside of things on a different level, on a different plane, or anything like that. It is part of the structure of the really real world. Magic belongs into the really real world. And that was for me just amazing. And yeah. And thank you for listening to that star story that has then evolved into many versions of the spiral, you know. And so I love spirals. And when I bring out the spirals, that's when we are talking what is known as metaphysics. See, and this is the problem. Metaphysics means beyond physics. The problem is the physics we've got is too small. It's too small, it's too limited. It is not describing the universe. It needs that expansion into this wider space where magic is a part of the system. And our access to magic isn't old books and scrolls, it's our own living energy body, which also isn't something subtle or far away or outside. It's only outside because all the concepts that we've been taught and entrained are too small. So, of course, anything curious and interesting is outside of that, or it feels to be some sort of metaphysics, beyond physics. You hear that word, please let it be known that the only reason it's called metaphysics is because physics is too small. Haha, way too small to encompass or describe really real reality. And I thank you for listening to my diatribe here, guys. I'm sure that's the sort of thing. Hey, why don't we do a little expansion thing? Let us do a little expansion thing together. So what do you think? What do you think we need to expand? I mean, obviously physics needs expansion. Mathematics needs desperately expansion. I mean, physics is based on mathematics. Now, I always say God does not count on 10 fingers. It doesn't. I have no idea how many fingers God has. But one thing is for sure, it doesn't have 10. So a mathematical system that's based on counting the 10 fingers of your hands or using your toes is just not going to cut it if you want to describe what's really going on in the world around you. So, yeah, we need new mathematics that will give us a new physics. But what do we need to expand more than anything else? More than anything else? And the thought that I'm just having is it has got to be surely, and yeah, it has got to be our self-concepts. Our self-concepts need expanding. Ah, that's lovely. Helen, I thank you for that. Using the symbols has changed the way I see the world. Yes, yes, it does. It does. It is an expansion, absolutely. So absolutely an expansion. So one of these metaphysical things that I'm very interested in, always have been, is these moments when people hear the voice. And I don't mean that BBC show. I mean actually when it seems that something from the outside is talking to you or saying something. I got an example where my partner was driving his motorbike really, really fast, and the road was clear, middle of the night, no problem at all. And he comes around this corner and he heard the voice, and the voice said, "Stop." And he said that was in every cell of his body, in every bone, in every part of him. He heard and felt that voice, and he just hit the brakes as hard as he could. And as he comes around the corner, there's a combine harvester standing across the roads with the cutting blades facing him. And he just managed to stop about that far away from it. This is not as unusual an experience as you might think. If you start asking people, a lot of people have heard the voice. And the question is, well, where the hell is that coming from? It's clearly, or it seems to be, coming from the outside. This wasn't me saying this. This was something coming from the outside. Some people say it's God. Some people say it's your guardian angel. I suspect that the only reason we think that it's coming from the outside is because our self-concepts are too small, that they create that ball around us, or egg, if you want to call it, and what's inside that egg, that's us. And what's outside of the egg, which is actually still us, only we don't know that because we've made our eggs way too small, is also us. That is also us. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have conversations with God or the angels. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that there's more to us than we think there is. There's more to us than we think there is. And if we expand this little eggshell of what people are and what they can do, make that a bit bigger, then we'll find that a whole lot of the things that have previously been handed over to some unknown outer force was actually us doing it all along. So, yeah, let's expand that as just an energy thing. Just what you think you are, just put that in sort of a little bubble here. You know, what you think you can do. People who've done Star Matrix probably have a slightly bigger bubble here by now. You know, if you've ever had an incident where you have been able to read somebody else's mind, that means you can do that. You have proven that you can do that. If you've ever had an incident of miraculously finding a lost object that couldn't be seen or smelled or found in any other way than, you know, some Zen thing going on there, that proves that you have that ability. But the little self-concepts that we've been given from Mother and Father and the good burgers and in tales and songs, they haven't given a place for these things to be, you know, integrated into a bigger picture. So let's just take our little self-concept here for a moment and breathe some life into it, why don't we? And just let that soften, the outsides of it, let that soften and expand a little bit. And while we're doing that, put a little bit of an intention there that other people's self-concepts will also expand and encompass more as we're doing that. Just more. People start waking up properly, not into silly wokeness, but waking up into a bigger idea of what a human being is and what they can do. And even what they're supposed to do with all the things that they can do. A wider awareness, a bigger self-concept that allows for these so-called paranormal occurrences to fit right inside and have its rightful place in this expanded self-awareness, self-concept. Okay, I can see ghosts. Yes, I can. That's fine. And that's not outside of me. This is inside. This is me seeing the ghosts. And the voice that I hear is also me. That's me. That's my voice. That's what my voice can sound like. Wow. Now imagine, just imagine for a moment. Martin said about his experience with the motorbike that when the voice said, stop, there wasn't a thing he could do about it. It was in every cell of his body. It was absolutely, there was nothing else that he could do was stop. Imagine we could speak to ourselves like that. If we had that ability, finally, inside our own self-concepts, if that was something that we could do, just say it once. Stop, or start, or do that. And it would be totally incontrovertible. Every cell of our body, cells in the bones, the whole neurology, everything just went, yes, sir, done. Consider it done. What the hell could we do with that? This whole thing with every cell in the body as well. How much control do we really have over our physical bodies, our healing processes, various things? Now we hear these stories of these people who practice for 60 years and then they can do some things like raising and lowering their body temperature at will. Well, I'm guessing that you could get there a whole lot faster if you actually knew how this whole thing worked, this expanded outside with all these abilities that we actually really have. We're not making that up. I found stuff the Zen way. I found stuff this morning the Zen way. Amazing. But it's something I can do. It's not outside of me. This is inside. And as I said before, this is important. Look, so we've made the self-concept bigger. That doesn't mean that the entire universe, multiverse is inside, that we are individually all there is. There is still a massive outside, full of angels and all sorts of other really interesting things that we could actually contact much better if we were not so limited in thinking of what we are and what we can do ourselves. We're not miserable, downtrodden worms at all. We've been told that, lived our lives like that, but it doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's true. It means that there are certainly at least questions to be asked of these things. Inside or outside? I've thought about this quite a bit over the last couple of weeks since the Star Matrix Summit. And I think that there is immense merit in expanding our self-concepts and allowing some things in. And something that just really sprang to my mind, your immortal soul, is that inside or outside your self-construct? For many people, when you ask them that, they say, well, yeah, I'm down here and my soul is all the way up there. It's sort of all the way detached up there. So if we take the soul as sort of a point, then at least the self-concept should expand outward and upward. So the soul was inside of that self-concept and not outside of it. So, yeah. There's many interesting things to look at, but expanding the self-concept for individual human beings and by side effect for others who might be watching and listening and thinking, I think that's a good start for something else, something different, something new. And it might help us sort out some of these metaphorical confusions of the ages. I mean, that's one of my personal pet topics. You know, when you look at sort of medieval writings about demons and devils and 50 layers of hell and 175,000, God knows what going on there, and you look at that and you just go, this is just crap, what you're talking about. And then you realize that, first of all, middle-aged people were extremely stressed and they were also extremely sick. And if they were writing at all, they were also probably extremely drunk because the water quality was so horrendous that people just drank wine instead of water if they could afford it. So I'm not to saying that I want to dismiss everything that's in the Elder Scrolls, but we do really want to have a look at this stuff and use our sixth sense here and say, this, what when you hear this stuff about the divils and the devils and the legions in hell and the seven circles, how does that make you feel? Does that make you curl your stomach? Does that give you an in the face? Does that give you a in the mouth and wanting to just get away from it? You know, that's an indicator that you just don't, this whoever wrote this was just very stressed. And at the very best, what we can do is just give them a pat on the head and say, poor thing, thank you for trying. I realize your circumstances were very, very unfortunate. And you got to where you got, you know, the way you got there. But really, this isn't how the world works. It's not. You look at any other thing, the way how the world works, anything at all, even the process of, say, roadkill, being eaten by maggots and what have you. You look at that process, and yeah, it may scare you a little bit, but you can sense the rightness in that. And that's why we need our sixth sense back. Big flag waving. We need that sixth sense back. We can sense the rightness in what happened there. Even if a volcano erupts and an entire town of people gets killed, there is a naturalness about it that even though the outcome's really, really sad, you never feel this total weird confusion, awfulness that you feel when man-made things go wrong, really wrong, like all the devils and the demons and all of that stuff. So yeah, I'm Helen's asked a question. Okay, that was the wrong one. This is the one. Is the sixth sense a part of the dear energy mind? Okay, let me try and explain that. We have the energy worlds, and you can think in terms of energy as information, data, streaming data falling down the screen like the symbols in the Matrix movie. This is the source code of the universe, if you will. This is the source code of the universe. And that is the code in which the energy mind works. The energy mind reads that source code, reads and writes it, both. That's what it does. When our consciousness wants to have a discussion with the energy mind, we need to use symbols. Just like we need on a computer, we need the windows with the little trash cans and the little folders, and we click on a little folder. But what really is happening underneath, there's this data stream running, making these things happen. The dear energy mind thinks energy, thinks in energy, it thinks in that language. It can read and write energetic realities and can transmit that information to us in the form of metaphor so that we can consciously understand it and get a handle on it, because we see that code falling, we can't consciously read or write it. So that's what the energy mind does. That's the language the energy mind thinks in. And Project Sanctuary or Supermind is actually meeting the energy mind in this metaphorical place where we have trees and bushes and rivers and artifacts, which are really just like in the Matrix, they're really just collections of information. But we can manipulate them consciously because we have that interface of metaphor in between. The sixth sense is literally our reaction to energy, our personal reaction to energy through our own living energy bodies. That's the sixth sense. Where do you feel that in your body? Show me with your hands. And I just love this because I put the female philosopher there. Problem with Western philosophy is that they only tried 5 senses, so they missed out on the emotions, thus missing out on not just 16.7% of information overall, but the 16.7% of information that actually connects the dots and helps us make sense of, who we are, why we do what we're doing. So the male philosophers, they missed out on the emotions, the poor things, and tried to construct models of thought that have the giant God-shaped hole in the middle, because we don't have the emotions there, which are our sixth sense, which is kind of fun. But a topic for another day, really. So, yeah, it's a fun thing. I need some guidance here. I said, find it easier to connect with my sixth sense than my energy mind. Okay. Yeah, right. Well, don't worry about the energy mind so much. The sixth sense is a good thing. And that's something that, look, here's the thing. I wrote about this yesterday on the AIG forum. When I made EMO, energy in motion, I forbade people to use metaphor. I actually literally forbid it. You're not allowed to use metaphor in EMO. So if somebody comes up and says, I've got a rusty iron sword stuck in my solar plexus chakra, they say that. We do not get involved in the metaphor. In EMO, we stay 100% with the sixth sense and we say, okay, now where do you feel that rusty iron solar plexus sword in your body right now? Show me with your hands. And the person will go, whatever. Wherever they're pointing, where they can actually feel it, whatever the hell the problem is here. Because we really don't want to go down the rusty sword business, how old this sword is and who stuck it into her solar plexus chakra. And it's just a mess. It's a mess. You hear that and you just go, ugh. Just like with the Divils'n'Demons. It's a mess. So, yeah, where do you feel that in your body? Show me with your hands. And the person shows you. And you go, okay, you do realize this is only an energy. There's no sword stuck in nothing here, right? There's nothing there. It's purely energy. And they go, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Okay, cool. Take a deep breath in and out. Put your healing hands on it. How has that sensation changed? And they're saying, well, it's a bit softer, a bit warmer, a bit. And you can watch them. They make movements, and you can see them show you the channels through which the energy needs to flow. It's just brilliant. And by forbidding metaphor altogether and really focusing down on the sixth sense in EMO, we created not only a shortcut, but we literally took us out of the total craziness and confusion about metaphor and metaphorical language and all the rest of it. Just took us straight out of it and into something that's really wrong and that we can do something about by working directly with the energy body. And this is what I was thinking. If you read one of the old philosophers, whoever they may be, and I especially recommend anybody from the so-called Frankfurt School, you read them, and then we ask, okay, what this guy's just said, where do you feel that in your body? Show me with your hands. And if the person's response to that, or if the group of people that you're saying this to, is something along the lines of, or what are we looking at there? We are looking at something that isn't right. That isn't right. Something that is causing people's energy systems to turn into a pretzel. There's something not right with that. Now, take a prophet from a good prophet from any religion and read what they said. When you hear that, when you're getting that energy transmission, where do you feel that in your body? Show me with your hands. And people will go, oh, or, oh, or, oh. And here we are dealing with something that is right. Something is being transmitted here that is having a positive effect on a person's energy system, that uplifts them, that gets them up the energy chart. And as we all know, the higher you are on the energy chart, the more intelligent you become, the more magical you become, the wider your self-concept becomes. That's a real shortcut. Who are you at +10? I always say that. You find yourself at +10. It's the right way to go for people, to be inspired and not have their head screwed with, or have their brains turned into mush so it flows out of their ears. To me, when you are confronted with something that is so weird and so convoluted and makes no sense at all, that you literally feel your brains turning to mush and wants to flow out of your ears, You are in the presence of something that isn't right. And it doesn't matter how the entire world sings the praises of that person. It doesn't matter how many statues have been erected to that person or those people. It doesn't matter. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. This is why it's so important to the powers that be to take our sixth sense away. Because without the sixth sense, we can't know what's right and what's wrong. When we have it back, we can. And then all of a sudden, we can really see these imposters, these emperors that have no clothes on, yet everybody pretends that they do. So yeah, the female philosopher. Oh dear, what a horrendous topic, hey? What if I was on Twitter, I could be slaughtered just for that headline. But I don't care. I know that thinking and feeling is not a dichotomy. They are not enemies. They're not supposed to be at war with each other. When they come back into harmony and they start working together, and thought, love and logic become one and the same, well, that's the threshold shift. That's where we evolve. That's where we create new systems, better systems than we've ever had before, more intelligent systems. But most of all, this is super important to me to hear, for you to hear and to tell other people. We need more humane systems to deal with human beings. We need much, much more loving systems that love people, that empower people, that encourage people, and that don't turn their very good brains into mush when they're trying to understand something that is basically just bullshit. Hey, woohoo! Pass me the soapbox. I'm so into that. Yeah. So, metaphysics, hey guys? Magic. All we need is a slightly expanded self-concept of what human beings are capable of, and all those things come back home. We can use them. We can start to use them again. Relearn how to use these things that we probably already knew as children how to do. But then we were sent to school, and this happens in every human society. No matter how Stone Age they are, they take the boys and put them in the men's house at age 6. I don't know why. What is the purpose of that? If you left them to do their own thing for a little bit longer, perhaps they would become a threat to the established status quo. Who knows? Well, I'm a bit of a revolutionary myself. What can I say? But yes, I would like a more humane, a more loving philosophy, a love-based philosophy that starts with the presupposition that the universe, the multiverse, is glorious and beautiful, amazing, astonishing, that it is good. The universe is good. Full stop. And the devils and the demons come from the mind of stressed men who are probably drunk and sick with syphilis. Okay, yeah. So let's expand self-concepts a little more. Let's begin to be really start to question hard what you think you can and you can't do. I would like you to really question hard old beliefs of what you can't do, particularly, because they tend to be formed in moments of when, oh, I can't do this, total energy system crash type of a thing. And of course, we've been trained to focus on those and remember those. Always remember, you must remember your traumas. You must remember the hard lessons. Oh, when you failed, when you can't do something. I want us to question that real hard from that new perspective. What can't you do? What did you try and you failed miserably and therefore decided it wasn't for you in this incarnation? Question that hard and say, yeah, a little tiny person would think that. But what would an expanded person think, say, or feel? The potential for things like self-control and self-healing and all sorts of things inherent in this bigger self-concept are really quite mind-blowing. They really are quite mind-blowing, even before we get to topics such as magic and what we can really do individually and then together. So that's really quite interesting. But I do things for people who think. I'm sorry about that. I work out things for people who feel and who think. Not just those who are just like, oh, feelings is everything. I never think about anything. I only do feelings. Or the people who are saying, oh, feelings are nothing. I only think logically at zero with no emotions at all. This is probably the challenge of my incarnation. I can't find a target audience because the target audience that I'm seeking is that those few people who think and feel and who already know that you need to think and feel or else nothing will happen as a human being. Wonderful. Thinking and feeling. And I don't care if it's a man or a woman or any other person or any other type of identification, or a unicorn for that matter. Thinking and feeling must not be in conflict, because the real truth lies where the two come into harmony with each other, or where in the Venn diagram you've got the little place in the middle where it overlaps, where thinking says this is so and feeling says this is so as well. That's what we need to get to. That's what we need to get to. Where it makes sense, is logical, and at the same time feels absolutely wonderful. So yeah, that's what I want to go towards. This is what I want to go towards. So I've been talking for a long time now, 45 minutes. I'm so glad, you guys, that you've come and spent your time with me. It encourages me. It encourages my behavior to think and feel and talk about subjects that just go beyond a little bit of the old ideas of what somebody like me is even supposed to talk about, what I'm supposed to say, what I'm supposed to do, and who I am supposed to talk to. Yes. I love modern energy. Really, I do. I love it because in a way, I've got this thing here behind me going on. It does that. Modern energy does that expansion. It creates that space where you can have research and healing, and you can have art, and you can have music, and you have philosophy, and it's all welcome, very welcome. It enriches the whole field of modern energy. That it's not a little tiny thing for therapy and healing at all. Although it's inside that little tiny thing, therapy and healing is in there too. But there's all these other many wonderful things. And they all have their place in modern energy. And the same really with all people. I mean, doesn't matter what they're really interested in. Modern energy has a place for that, to look at that with new eyes and experience that in a new way, expand upon it, develop it, evolve it. I love that. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your time and for your attention. May you be blessed. May you be blessed in all ways. may you connect with that which is blessing you, and you might find that at least some of that isn't actually outside. It's inside, only needs to be a little bit bigger to really connect with that. And I think we've got better chance of talking to our guardian angels too if we're in that expanded zone where we are closer to them. Makes perfect sense to me. Okay, guys. Love you loads. Hello, Julie. Oh, thank you so much. I will thank you for your lovely feedback. I'll put a couple on the screen because the YouTube people always think I'm only talking to myself because they only have 2 views on YouTube. Thank you so much, Wendy. And dear Bear. Ah, Helen. Helen, I appreciate your ongoing support. I really do. And Julie. Hey, and Lucas. Ah, Dawn. Hello, Dawn. Fantastic. Hello, Dawn. Waves to Orlando in Florida. Kerstin. Yes. Let's make that inside bigger. Then we have better of a chance to go outside. Once we know where inside ends and outside begins. That'll be an interesting story for another day. Okay, my darlings. So thank you so much for being here. Hope you'll come back for next week's Sunday with Silvia. For solstice, I have a special one. Energy gifts will be given. So probably put that in your diary. 20th of December at 10 o'clock. Okay, guys. Lots of love. I'll just put a few more here. Wendy, darling, love you. And Ilka says, love my live streams. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ilka. Thank you for being here. It'd be so horrible if I was all by myself. Verena, thank you. The grand dame of energetics. Soften and flow. Oceans of energy. Absolutely, 100%. We live in the oceans of energy. We just really honestly need to remember more to connect to that, and all else will be wonderful. All right, guys, sparkly blessings for the rest of the day, and have a good week. Find star moments of joy. Really look for the joy, and it will find you. Lots of love. And bye for now. Bye.